So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Sun and Saturn conjunction in the seventh house. And what happens when you have Sun and Saturn in the seventh house of your horoscope? And as always, if you do not know, if you have this particular position, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, and all your astrological details, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, consultations, and link to my academy, Vedic Astrology Academy. So, Sun and Saturn in the seventh house. So, what is the seventh house? Seventh house represents marriage, commitment, partnership, okay, promotions, mass fame. It represents our duty towards other people. It represents, your mirror image. Actually, it actually represents a mirror. But it represents people who are in front of you as your opponents. And as they say, with marriage is a deal you make with your enemy in the astral world from past life. That, okay, we got to work our differences out, so we're going to have to be married. So now you have Sun and Saturn here in the seventh house. And what this does, okay, with Sun and Saturn, is that number one, obviously marriage happens late. Marriage will take place between 30 to 34. The other thing you will also see is that when you're trying to get married, somehow father will cause some obstacle, or there will be some argument or fight with the father on the day of the wedding or in the proceeding towards the wedding. The other thing you will also see is that your spouse becomes a great administrator within the marriage. They always like to arrange things, how things need to be, how things need to be taken care of, how bills need to be taken care of. So on one hand, you can get a great, partner with this. Even if your wife will be the one who wants to naturally take over all the bills. Or if it's your husband, he will naturally not only would want to do other things, but also want to take over the bills. And with Sun and Saturn in the seventh house, one of the things you will see that your spouse will love wearing old clothes, sometimes even dirty clothes. Like sometimes they will just wear something which is laying around and it'll be old and they may mistake it for a new one. Or they will love going to Salvation Army. They'll love going to thrift store. And you will see with Sun and Saturn, usually a person gets a spouse who has like a darker spot right there. Underneath they have this, this darker eyes. The other thing, we also see that after your marriage, either within 4 days or 4 weeks, significant event occurs related to your career, especially in terms of gaining higher status and promotion. And the other thing you will see with the Sun and Saturn conjunction in the seventh house, your children will become a strong part of your work or your business. Usually this becomes a combination where a person may start some form of business which becomes like a family business. Your children and their children and their children become part of that business. So like, for example, people say, I'm in a family business. Well, somebody had to start that business. Somebody had to go out there and say, okay, I have a business now. My kids will take over, their kids will take over. And this is one of those positions where a person likes to create something more permanent that can be passed down through lineage. And also with Sun and Saturn in the seventh house, one of the things you will see is that around 34th year, this person attains a property. At the same time, after marriage, your younger siblings' career flourishes. So once you get married, and if you have a younger sibling, their career will flourish. Now, this is a position of Sun and Saturn that can also draw a person towards, or draws a person towards politics, societies, committees, But you gotta understand one thing. Marriage is gonna be full of duty, commitment, and sacrifice. Marriage is not some romantic encounter, some romantic movie. It becomes a business. It becomes a business partnership. It becomes a responsibility. It becomes this work. Now, of course, everybody will say, well, every marriage is, but literally for this particular individual, that passion and that drive to be in a partnership dries out. But they're in there for long-term commitment because of Saturn, because they know that this is what's driving their life forward. They're like, this is a partnership that is definitely going to give me gains, that is definitely going to, it's helping me excel. Okay, I have to stick into it. But yes, with the fire of Sun and the air of Saturn, it becomes very much a dry, bleak place. Because what happens when you have air with fire? It burns all the ground. It burns the whole ground. The fire spreads. So you have this barren land. And this will feel like that, unless, of course, you have Jupiter aspecting the 7th house. And if Venus is with Jupiter, receiving the aspect of Jupiter, that will neutralize this effect as well. And now, sometimes people want to know, well, will I get a mature spouse with this? Unless, of course, Saturn is Dharakarka, or Saturn is conjunct Dharakarka, in case, let's say, Sun, then you get an older spouse. Or if Saturn is influencing Venus, then you get an older spouse. But usually this does not really mean that you're going to get an older spouse. This simply means you get a much more older, responsible spouse. Much more matured and responsible spouse. But I've seen people who have been married, a husband marries a wife who's like 6 years younger than them. So that's not really defines a mature spouse by age. But yes, by, mind and consciousness, sure. Okay. So anyway, guys, this was my analysis of Sun-Saturn conjunction in the 7th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. If you want to know where your Sun-Saturn conjunction is, all your astrological details, please check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.